Hello, everyone. Hello, and welcome to this week's IPSI Forum on Israel, Africa, and Black America. My name is Joshua Washington. I am your host, also the executive director of the Institute for Black Solidarity with Israel. And we have quite a few things to get into today. I've said this before because we haven't been regular. We haven't been every Monday like we usually are. A lot of you know the reason for that. We're finding our footing after. Um, I hope everything. Hold on a second. If you guys can still hear me, I'm going to keep on going, but it seems to be frozen on my end. Okay, there we go. Right at the beginning of this year, we tragically lost our speakers bureau chief, our board member, and most importantly, our beloved, my wife, the mother of my two sons, Olga Mishoy Washington. And it was quick, it was sudden, and I have been on a semi hiatus, so you didn't really see me in the first few months, and then just fairly recently started to pick up these forums again. But they're not every Monday, and we're getting back into the groove of things. But that's why I think you didn't see us last week. But welcome. Thank you, everyone. As you're coming in, please come in. We do have some very important things to discuss. We are live everywhere. So tag your friends, tag your neighbors, tag everyone. We're on Facebook, we're on LinkedIn, we're on YouTube, we're on X, and we are on Instagram. And I'm also on Instagram separately. Hello, everyone on Instagram over here. First, couple of things. First of all, if this is your first time tuning in and you don't know who the Institute for Black Solidarity with Israel is, you can go to our website at ibsi.org. Follow us and see what we do. Sorry, just make sure. I need someone to talk to me here. Is it freezing? What's going on? Because I feel like for the people who are tuned in, it's freezing over and over again. So someone please let me know. Okay, as long as everyone can hear me. So you go to ibsi.org, check out our website, check out what we do, what we're about, who we are. You can also go to our Substack at ibsi.substack.com. And you can look at our articles, our podcast episodes. We have a few new articles that are up over these past few weeks that are very important that you should definitely check out and read. Subscribe to it, become a paid subscriber, and maybe this will help. I'm going to turn off my Wi-Fi on this thing, and read our stuff. We have a lot of things out, and we put out a lot of content. We say a lot. We speak a lot, and we write a lot, and we do a lot of those things. So if you want to check out what we do, you can do that. If you want to support us, you know who we are and you want to support us, you can become a legacy builder by going to ibsi.org/donate, and you can set up a monthly amount. Now, these are very important. So I want everyone to listen to me when I say this. It's not, IPSI only is able to do what we can do. One, because the vast majority of IPSI staff, if not all of IPSI staff, are the Washington family. And then secondly, we're able to do what we can do by the generous donations of our partners, our donors, but the most crucial one is are the smaller donors, the ones that give regularly small amounts. Those things really help IPSI to keep going, and it is something that we need every month, and we're grateful to those who have done so very consistently every month. And if you haven't done that yet, go to ibsi.org/donate, and you can set up something small, $18 a month, $36 a month, $54 a month. So you can see I'm doing multiples of 18 here, $108 a month, and you can give and support IPSI in that very crucial way. So do that now. As a matter of fact, as I'm talking, I go to ibsi.org/donate and just set up that Legacy Builder monthly amount. We're undertaking a couple of really, really big projects in 2026, all having to do with Africans in the diaspora, both Africans, both on the continent and in the diaspora, and Israel. And there's a lot to go with that, and we definitely are going to need your support more than ever before to make that happen. Okay, and then lastly, another way you can support us and have something to show for it is by visiting our merchandise store. You can get merchandise, visit our merch store. You can get a mug, you can get a journal, all those things with IPSY logo on it. So you can support us and you can have some really cool things. You have t-shirts, all that stuff. So go to ibsi.org/store to support us and to have something to take home with you. All right. Okay, announcements. Thank you to everyone who supported our Returning the Favor Hanukkah album and concerts. They were amazing. The album came out really beautifully. We had 2 premieres. We had one in Chicago at New Beginnings Church on the south side of Chicago. And then that was on December 7th. And then on the next week, on the 14th, we had another one at Wilshire Boulevard Temple in Los Angeles. And both of them were beautiful, full rooms. It really was something extra special. In Chicago, I think the room was about 400 people, maybe more, and it was pretty split. It was half Jewish and half Christians in the room that night. In LA, it was around that. I can't remember the number. It was almost a completely full room. And we just had an amazing time sharing our new original music from the Returning the Favor album, and also doing some other beloved Hanukkah songs that everyone knows, especially the one on the 14th. That was in wake of what happened in Australia, the massacre that took place right on the first night of Hanukkah in Australia. That was the day of the Los Angeles concert. We actually changed the set list a tiny bit. I added a song in there, a song I wrote that's not a Hanukkah song, but very much speaks to where we are now. It's called State of Freedom. And I added that to the set list, and we did that night. As a matter of fact, it's on, if you can see behind me, it's on that album, the Zion album, which you can find on all streaming platforms. You can get a vinyl yourself. See that? So thank you guys for that. February the 1st. Okay, I'm not sure why my screen keeps freezing over here. Sorry, guys. If you guys can still hear me, then that's great. February the 1st, I will be, me and our CEO and founder, and a bunch of other musicians from this place. We will be in Southern California at Valley Beth Shalom. For our special event called Africa to Israel, Our Bridge to Zion. It's going to be a night of music. It's going to be a beautiful night. I've been asked to come and share some original music. I'm bringing my band. I'm bringing some singers. I'm teaming up with musicians at VBS, with Cantor Jackie there and her choir. And it's just gonna be an amazing night. Our CEO and founder is speaking. And if you're in Southern California, you got to register, get your tickets. We're going to start posting about it in the next couple of days. We're coming to the end of the year, so there's some end of the year stuff. But as soon as the holidays are done, you'll be seeing a lot of promotion for it, posters and everything. So I hope to see you February 1st at Valley Beth Shalom, Africa to Israel. I'm super excited. I'm going under my stage name, Joe Davi, because I'll be doing a lot more music than speaking that day. And it's going to be fun. So you guys should come. All right. And then last but not least, I think we have a video for this. And so I want to show this. We have a big conference in Ethiopia on February 12th through 14th. Producer, if we have that video, if you could please play that.
In September in Addis Ababa, the Institute for Black Solidarity with Israel helped present a 3,000-year friendship celebrating the Africa-Israel relationship. The event was led by the Let Africa Go movement with support from the Israel-Africa Relations Institute and the Valop Group. The celebration was a tremendous success. After the celebration in Addis, IBSI announced its delegation of African and Black American leaders to Israel who would tour the country and join in the annual Ethiopian Seged celebration in Jerusalem. This all happened in November and was another tremendous success. Finally, IBSI announced the first annual Young Leaders Conference of African and Black American men and women. This conference is scheduled for February the 12th through the 14th, 2026 in Addis Ababa. We will gather some 100 delegates to discuss African Zionism, Pan-Africanism, education, business, technology, geopolitics, music, and much more. All that IBSI has done has been made possible by our amazing donors, and we need your help to continue moving forward. Instead of a traditional end-of-year giving message, we're asking you to help us cover the cost of the Young Leaders Conference in Addis Ababa. Just go to ibsi.org/donate and mark your tax-deductible gift with YLC 2026. Or to support any area of IBSI's work, go to ibsi.org/donate and simply select General. To learn more, go to ibsi.org and join our emailing list, or email us directly at info@ibsi-now.org.
Okay, so that is, man, I'm excited about that. The Young Leaders Conference in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia, February 12th through 14th. We're gonna have an amazing time. I'm excited about that. You know, there's a lot of different emotions, especially when we have to travel to the continent. Obviously, because these are events and things that we're doing that Olga would have oh my gosh, she would have just turned a backflip. So, but you guys, those are things that are going on. Those are our announcements. we're going to step into what we're talking about today. I just have a couple of things on the agenda. As a matter of fact, before I even get into that, I want to say that the reason why it is right now, there's a certain amount of, there's a lot of work that gets put into all this stuff that we do at IPSI. At the same time, when it comes to connecting with the people and working with the people on the ground, there's a certain amount of ease that comes with it. And it's because Africa as a whole, whether you're talking about South Africa or Ethiopia or Malawi or Burkina Faso, from east to west and south, not so much north because that's colonized by Arab Muslims, but we'll talk about that in a little bit later. Africa as a whole is very, very pro-Israel. It's very, very Zionist. There is a strong Christian Zionist element to Africa that has been there for forever. Has been there for thousands of years. Right? There's a strong Zionist element that exists in Africa that IPSI is simply tapping into, and we have been tapping into since 2013. That's what's really happening. We're not creating something out of nothing. We're not trying to galvanize the African people and tell them about Israel. They're already sold. Olga's talked about this before too. On a very practical level, Africans understand the threats of jihad, of radical Islam. They see it. They experience it. Some of these countries, they are in it currently. The African slaves in Sudan, in Mauritania, in Nigeria, in Algeria, in Libya, they see the end result of jihadism on the continent, in their countries. They see it. They don't have to read a newspaper. They don't have to watch a video of someone they don't have to watch our friend Simon Deng talk about how he was taken as a slave at 9 years old for 2 years. They don't have to watch that because they experience that every day. They see that all the time. They hear about it right across the street from where they live. They know what happened on October 7, 2023 in Israel happens every other day in Nigeria, in Sudan, in Mauritania. This happens all across the continent. So they don't have to be convinced that Israel is on the front lines of a battle against global terrorism. They know it because they are experiencing the global terrorism. They are experiencing the terrorism that Israel's fighting against right now. When they heard of Hamas and what they did to Joshua Malal, the Tanzanian student who was studying agriculture in Israel, how they tortured him and beat him to death and then shot him in the head, it wasn't a surprise to them. Right? It wasn't like, oh my gosh, how could this happen? They were like, yeah, that of course, because unfortunately, the jihadists, The Islamists, they are extremely racist against Africans. We would be just as privy to it as well if we had kept our ears open, right? When ex-Black Panther Eldridge Cleaver fled America and spent 7 years outside of the country. He was in Cuba for a while. He was in Algeria, and he went for solidarity, right? Because he thought the Arabs were his friends. He wasn't going for any other agenda than to be with his Arab brothers and sisters, quote unquote, right? He goes there and he sees the slavery in Algeria. He sees how Black Africans were seen by the Algerians as less than dirt. He saw the treatment of them while they were parading him around, talking about how look at this. We have a Black Panther here. He's our friend. He saw how they were treating his brothers and sisters on the continent. He came back to America a changed man, and he said that those Arabs were among the most racist on earth. He says they're even more backwards in their racism than America is. And this was in the late 60s, early 70s when they came back to the country. Right? So he saw it with his own eyes and said, wow. And it went deeper than that. Then he saw the game that was being played. Okay, so why are they friends with me? Because Black American voices are, they recognize this, and everyone recognizes this. Our voices reverberate. That's why in marketing, everything, when you get, I said this before, I'll say it again. It was an episode of The Office when Dwight had set up a gym in the office space. It was a really crappy gym, but his strategy was, he says, you know what? I know how to build a business. Now, this is a comedy show, so he was joking, but what makes a joke funny is the element of truth that's in it, right? He said, I know how to build a business. You have to get the Black people to do it so that the white people will do it. And then you have to get the Black people to stop doing it. But you know what, you guys? That's literally the strategy. That is it. That's the winning ticket. You have to get the Black people on your side so that the rest of the world can see, you can be seen as legitimate to the rest of the world. And then at some point you have to get the Black people to stop, especially if you are an Arab Muslim who hates Jews. You doubly hate Africans, and you definitely don't want one of these Black people actually on your team. You just need them to prop you up enough, and then you can do away with them when you're finished. So I thought that was funny because it's absolutely true. So in light of that, I want to turn your attention to one of the most recent articles that our CEO penned in our Substack, which is called Israel's Enemies Frustrated by Growing African Christian Zionism. It's interesting because these people always tell on themselves, right? It was even the case. I remember early on in my Israel journey, this was like 2011, 2012. I was debating with this other, well, he's not so much a friend anymore, but at the time a friend of mine, about Dr. King. And his argument was Dr. King was definitely not a Zionist. And if he was alive today, he would completely, be against Israel. And I said, okay, well, we can't really speak on what he would say if he heard today. That's irresponsible. But based on his words from when he was alive, and he was alive post 1967, he was assassinated in 1968, he was very Zionist. I mean, all of his words unequivocally Zion. You can't, how can you take what he said about Israel and take that he wasn't a Zionist? But a lot of people a lot of anti-Israel activists would try to change his legacy. At some point, there was a Palestinian, an Arab professor, I think his last name was Said, who said that he was disheartened and disappointed. He wrote this. He was disappointed to find out, as he was reading about Dr. King, and he was very inspired by him, he was disappointed to find out that Dr. King was a Zionist. Okay, so now you have someone on the other side, on your side, who's doing research and very honestly looking at things and going, well, I thought Dr. King was for us, but he clearly is a Zionist. This is what happens on the other side quite a bit. So this is what it happens again. So there's a Palestinian Policy Network. A newspaper called Al Shabaka. They published another propaganda piece entitled "Christian Zionism in the Global South: The Case of South Africa," and it just talks about how, first of all, how South Africa and Palestinians have always been, they've taken up the pro-Palestinian struggle for once and a long time ago, and now it seems to be dwindling and weakening and all that stuff. And he laments the fact that. So here's what he says: South Africa became a central hub of support for Palestinian liberation, most recently demonstrated by its case for the International Court of Justice, the ICJ, accusing Israel of genocide. In response, the Israeli regime has intensified its public diplomacy efforts and meddling in South Africa, seeking to weaken its solidarity. If Christian Zionism and pro-Israel mobilization can take hold in South Africa, a major center of Palestinian solidarity, the implications for the wider global South are significant. Now, it starts off with a complete and total fallacy. South Africa, and this is even a fallacy that our peers on the pro-Israel side even fall into. South Africa as a country, as a whole, has never been anti-Israel. The government has been bought and paid for by Hamas and Qatar. The ANC, which is why we said it was so dastardly and so dishonest and so wrong for President Trump to throw President Cyril Ramaphosa of South Africa under the bus for coming against Israel, the ICJ, but then continue to be buddies with Qatar, who gave South Africa the money to go. So you see what I'm saying? So if you're gonna, I already said this in the last one, but I'll say it again. If you're going to reprimand South Africa, the government, the ANC, for taking Israel to the International Court of Justice, then you should probably also go after the entities that bribed the ANC to take South Africa to the International Court of Justice. You see what I'm saying? But no, you're going to get closer and talk about how amazing Qatar is and how great buddies you guys are while going after the people that Qatar keeps funding to attack Israel. So that's first of all. But secondly, that article starts off with a fallacy because no, South Africans as a whole have never been anti-Israel. And please hear me, my friends who are watching this who are pro-Israel. It is not true. It has never been true. And I hear it, and Olga, my late wife, she would hear it a lot as well. People would say, what is wrong with South Africa? Why does South Africa hate Jews? They don't. They do not. As a matter of fact, if you spent some time, I'm afraid to go to the country. I feel I'm going to get jumped and beat up. But the vast majority of Africans are Christian and they are Zionist, period. The fact that the government that represents them adopts these anti-Israel policies is unfortunate, but it is just one example of the deep corruption that lies in a lot of these governments across the African continent. Because it's not just that the ANC is this great government except for Israel. No, the ANC has problems. The ANC lost, I think, the most seats that it's ever lost in this past election season. The ANC, yeah, they had to form a coalition government. The ANC is losing support every single election. And it's not really even because of Israel. It's because of, now, partially because of Israel, and this is what I mean. So there's food insecurity. You still have what we would call like scheduled rolling blackouts. They call load shedding, right? There are different levels to load shedding. There are times when the power in this certain sector goes out for 6 hours at a time because they don't have energy. And I remember talking to my brother-in-law. He was like, we've been load shedding for years and we have enough power to light our whole country for decades, but we don't have access to it because we keep selling ourselves out to other countries. So he's like, it's like you're sitting on a gold mine, but instead of doing the work and actually using it to benefit your people, you're allowing other people to come in and take it and bribe you with billions of dollars. So you just sit there and drive your Rolls Royce and live in your mansion and you're fine. So that keeps happening. So the people are fed up. And I remember at one of the ANC rallies, this was a couple of years ago. I remember my wife was alive. She pointed this out and talked about this. At one of the ANC rallies in South Africa, they spread out a big Palestinian flag. I think it was at FNB Stadium. So it was a huge soccer stadium. They spread out a Palestinian flag at some point during the rally, and it was huge. It was bigger than the South African flag. And South Africans were livid. And they were livid, look, on the biblical level, they're like, we don't do that free Palestine stuff. We stand with Israel. But even deeper than that, it wasn't even just that. It was, we have our own problems in this country. We have, first of all, load shedding, which has affected all of us across the country. We have food insecurity. There's massive amounts of poverty in different areas, all that kind of stuff. We have our own issues that you guys, not only are you not addressing it properly or really actually tackling it at all, but you keep blaming it on apartheid, which ended in 1994, right? It's been over 30 years now, and you keep saying, "Oh, it's because of the white man." You are in power, ANC, and you have been in power since the fall of apartheid. What have you done since then? So they see the big Palestinian flag on the football field, on the soccer field, and they go, "Okay, I'm not even in that like I get it on a biblical standpoint, like we're Zionists, but that's first of all. But secondly, what does that have to do with the problems that are going on right now with us?" Sorry, guys. Yes, Judah. Sure, Judah. Go back to bed, please. Do that in your room, son. Go in your room and do that. I apologize, ladies and gentlemen. I have children. Also, things have been a little bit different since, a lot different, topsy-turvy, since Olga passed. Normally, she would be co-hosting this with me. And what she usually comes in about, she would usually come in around now, about a half hour later, because she would be putting the boys to bed and all that kind of stuff. So I put them to bed, and then I started this. And of course, my youngest has a question for me that he could have answered himself, but that's how kids do. And so, yes. But anyway, so not only do we not stand with the whole Palestinian stuff, but beyond that, why are you waving a flag of any other country? At this point, as a South African, I'd be just as mad if they unveiled a Ghanaian flag that was bigger than the South African flag, or if they unveiled a flag from Togo or a Congolese flag. It didn't matter. It was just, why are we, like, all this false pretense of America first, these anti-Semites are saying America first. Like, really, what about South Africa first? We're South African, and you're unfurling a huge Palestinian flag that's bigger than our own. What does the Palestinian people have to do with what's going on with us? That is someone paying the government to show that kind of to feign that kind of solidarity. So that article that's referenced in the Substack article starts off with a fallacy. South Africa has never stood with the Palestinians, not as a whole. South Africa has always stood with theirs. As a whole, the people have. The government has not. The people have. Okay? So that's first of all. Now, you should check out the rest of the article, because it like I said, the sources, the quotes that, so check out go to ibsi.substack.com, check it out. The article that it quotes, the one that's a propaganda article against Israel, it cites its sources. It cites His Majesty King Buyeleka Zwelibanzi Dalindiebo, and when he came and visited Israel, and what he says about why he doesn't support what's going on, why he doesn't support Gaza and Hamas, and why he stands with Israel, and what Hamas actually looks like for him and for the African people. This is coming from a piece that's against Israel. I'm pretty sure that if they knew that we were emphasizing it this much, they probably would take it down, because it's actually doing more harm for their cause than for us. It's actually doing a lot of great stuff for us, because it's showing from their perspective. They're saying, despite now their perspective, that what he's trying to portray in the article is South Africa used to stand with Palestinian people, but now they're more Christian Zionists. No, wrong. They've always been Christian Zionists. That's the whole point. And one of the things that he says, I'm going to say one more thing. One of the things that has been very, very apparent since the beginning, or has been prevalent, I should say, since I would say after the 6-Day War, has been there's been an all-out blitz campaign to get the Black voice. That's why you had the infamous picture of Yasser Arafat standing next to Jesse Jackson and standing holding Eldridge Cleaver's hand before he had his great conversion, right? And all those things. It was an attempt to position yourself to look like a liberator. One of the presidents that helped Yasser Arafat with his image and how he looked was President Jimmy Carter. this is how you message this way. You got to say it like this. Let me help your speechwriters, all those things, because the whole attempt was to make Yasser Arafat, one of the butchers of the Middle East, seem like a noble statesman and a diplomat. One of the ways that you can legitimize yourself, especially in a space that's civil rights or human rights, you cozy up with the black leaders. You cozy up with the black leaders. That's always how it is. And what's one of the leading black voices at the time? Nelson Mandela, who's one of the South Africa was a country that everyone was looking to. So of course we're going to try to hijack South Africa, and we're going to associate Israel with an apartheid state. That was always the strategy from the beginning. The problem was, and it was inevitable. It was never going to take with the South African people, because very simply, and they've said this over and over again, they've seen apartheid. They know what apartheid only fell in 94. And even after 94, there was de facto apartheid all over the place. And the effects, the geographical effects of apartheid, the de facto people still felt like it should still be in place. All that stuff. My late wife, Olga, of blessed memory, when she went to university, it was in the early 2000s. And was it early 2000s? When she went to university, yeah, early 2000s, mid 2000s. It was post-apartheid, but there are very many students who didn't speak to her, who didn't talk to her, who didn't work with her because she was a black South African, and how dare she come to this white university? That wasn't a white university anymore, but still, she still felt the effects. She did things like extended olive branches by becoming all the way fluent in Afrikaans and only speaking Afrikaans to the white students. And then, like, by then, through that, humanizing herself and them and forming friendships that lasted all until the day she died. But apartheid was, so one of the errors of that strategy was that apartheid was just not that long ago. It wasn't that long ago, and it only fell recently. And so to try to put out this messaging that Israel's an apartheid state, it's just my in-laws, my father-in-law, his cabinet, his ministers, they all were in it. They were all in their 30s and 40s during the apartheid era. So 20s and 30s and 40s, they remember it vividly. I mean, if you're going to try something like that, maybe wait another 100 years where everyone's kind of removed enough from it that you can maybe manipulate, but you can't. It was a failed strategy from the beginning. It was only a matter of time before it caught up to them. And now it's catching up to them because black South Africans are saying, yeah, we remember apartheid. This is not apartheid. And it's not like apartheid has multiple meanings. It was coined in South Africa by South Africans and has a specific context that is South Africa. So you can't take that word and say, well, now that's applied to Israel. It's an apartheid. Okay, show me where, Arabs can't vote. Oh, they can. Okay. So you mean as long as you're a citizen, you can do everything that a citizen can do in Israel? Yeah. Okay. That's not apartheid. Well, you got to understand. I remember I argued with someone. I was like, we were arguing about that. And I said, but in South Africa, you couldn't even marry. In Israel, an Arab can marry a non-Arab. It can marry an Ashkenazi Jew, right? I mean, in Israel, a Jew can marry an Arab and a Jew can work together. There is an Arab judge who sentenced a Jewish man to jail and all that kind of stuff. And I said, so that has nothing to do with South Africa. And he said, well, South Africa is not really relevant in this conversation. I went, it kind of is, because you keep putting South Africa's name in your mouth and saying that Israel is just like it. So it is very relevant. But see, that's the strategy, right? Is you got to get the black people to do it so that everyone else does it. And then you have to exit the black people stage right so you can continue in your foolishness. It was only a matter of time before that was going to catch up to them. And it's catching up now to the point where this very anti-Israel propaganda newsletter is saying that, yeah, Africans are Christian Zionists to the core. I mean, we're having a really hard time getting through to them. And you were always going to, because the strategy was not about the people. So you hate Africans so much, you didn't actually do the dirty work of trying to actually change the minds of Africans on the ground. You just threw a bunch of money at their governments and said, hoist the Palestinian flag. Now, unfortunately, that did do a lot of damage. But the damage is less and less and less now because the people are speaking up more and more. They see the game now. That was always going to catch up to you. That was always going to knock you on your face. It was always going to do that. So while that's going on, and while Africa is continuing to show that they stand with Israel, the future really is Africa, Israel. Power really is shifting back to the east, you guys. It really, really is. And I say this as a proud American. Kingdoms and empires rise and fall throughout human history. Ours will be no different than any other kingdom. Eventually, America will fall. Eventually, the West will fall. That is going to happen, not because I want it to, not because I'm wishing that, but because that's just how it works. The only kingdom that's eternal is the kingdom that will rise when Messiah comes. And when Messiah comes, he'll reign from the New Jerusalem. That's going to be there. That's it. There is no eternal kingdom here on earth. America's time is coming. It's not me trying to be brimstone. It's just a mathematical fact, right? Like we're coming toward the end. The sun is setting on America. The sun is setting on the West. And while the sun is setting on the West, that sun setting is kind of hastening with all this foolishness that's been going on with whether it's the millions of undocumented immigrants that have come through here that are from hostile countries like Lebanon and Syria, all that stuff. And there are terror cells all over the country, in Mexico and in the United States, in South America, on the continent of Africa as well. It's very different what's happening there, and the landscape is changing. But here, we're just inviting these people in. While this current administration continues to be buddy with Qatar and play footsies with them, and while jihadism is becoming more and more popular and normalized here in the West. And it's interesting, you guys. People like Tucker Carlson, people like Candace Owens, if they were really consistent in their stance against Israel, if they're really consistent in their America first, we shouldn't be funding anything, and all this stuff is destroying America, then they would, at the very least, they would also be against the Islamism that has infiltrated this country. It'd be hand in hand. It'd be one and the same. If they were really consistent, they would also say, yeah, and these radical Islamists who want to blow up everything are coming across our border unchecked. No. And not only are they not like that, but look at Tucker. Tucker speaks very highly of Qatar. Tucker bought a house in Qatar. Where's all his America first? Okay, so I'm sorry. An American Jew who lives in New York having a place in Israel, that's dual loyalty. That's evil. That somehow is an anathema. But then you, Tucker, can buy a house in one of the most prominent slave trading countries in the world. You, Tucker, can own property now in this country that abuses women, that trades African slaves. I'm sorry, how is a Jew buying a house in Israel dual loyalty, but what you just got through doing not? How is it not treason that you are buying land and you are patronizing a country that is very blatantly against America and tries to subdue us every way it can, every which way? How is it not a bad thing? How is that not terrible? How is it okay that you can buy a house in a country that has been funding and filling our kids' heads in universities all over the country with propaganda by the billions of dollars in our universities and our Ivy League schools? How is that okay that you support that country with your dollars, but somehow it's evil that a Jew from New York has a house on a beach in Bat Yam in Israel? Like, right? And that is such an obvious elementary 2 + 2 is 4 thing, you guys, that Tucker, like the ANC in South Africa, is bought out by Qatar. That really is it. Well, I don't really know what's going on. I used to like him. Tucker is fake. He's a puppet. He is a shell. Qatar is giving him billions of dollars, and he says, okay, I'll say whatever you want me to say. We have the receipt. We have the checks. The receipts have been posted on the internet. It's out there for everyone to see. Tucker is bought out by Qatar. How else do you explain he's had this 180 on Israel, but also he's very, very stopped? Same thing with Candace Owens. Once upon a time, Candace would talk about radical Islam. And now, I remember a podcast she did last year where she was like, I just want to apologize to all the Muslims that we mistreated after 9/11. You know, I was like, yep. See, someone has bought her out. It's really, and then they accused. Then remember that whole that rumor that went around, that lie that kept going around, that Zionists like myself and others were getting paid $7,000 per post every time they post something about Israel. So then there are bots all over the place. Whenever we post something, oh, there's your $7,000. I was like, see, not only is it not true, the reason why you're saying that is because that's what you're getting paid. The only reason why you're saying that is because people like Tucker and Candace and Marjorie Taylor Greene, whoever else, they are being supported by the foreign government to do their propaganda for them. See, we're not being supported by the Israeli government to do anything because we're standing on the side of truth. We're just saying the truth how we see it. You, Tucker, are actually doing the bidding of Qatar while acting like you're still being impartial and unbiased and fair. Why? Oh, yeah, that's what's going on. And we see that over and over and over again. These people are bought and paid for. Qatar continues to be the seat of power of the Muslim Brotherhood, one of the top funders of global terrorism, as stated by our President Trump in 2017. So in 2017, President Trump said that Qatar is one of the top funders of global terrorism. 2025, Trump and Qatar are best friends, right? While he throws South Africa under the sanctions South Africa for doing the evil act against Israel, taken to the ICJ, doesn't do anything to Qatar, who's funding the stuff against Israel, right? Who's funding Hamas, who was behind October 7th. Ain't enough 4D chess in the world, you guys. I really am going to need the 4D chess people to get off of Trump's jock and speak the truth. See, when Obama was doing what he did to Nigeria and how he destabilized it, we spoke out. All the Obama loyalists, especially the black ones, called us traitors, coons, Uncle Toms, whatever you want to call it. Okay. But it was the truth and we called it out. Now, Trump played a big role in destabilizing Syria, has said nothing to al-Jilani, didn't say anything when Jilani's top general official murdered 2 servicemen and an American translator who were in Syria just a couple weeks ago. Said, we're going to do something. He hasn't done anything. No one's saying anything because it's Trump now. So those same Obama loyalists, it's the same spirit. We got the Trump loyalists now who are coming after us for, like, again, saying the truth. We're not loyal to a president, to a party, to any kind of ideology. We are loyal to God first and foremost and to the truth. You can take that all the way to the bank. So when you see us from IPSI calling something out, just know we're doing it because it needs to be done. No one gave us any money for it. As a matter of fact, I would venture to guess that not even guess, we've talked about this at IPSI. Part of the reason why when it comes to donations, we can never really raise all the funds that we need to raise, partially because of that. Is because people don't really know what we're going to say and we're going to say it because we can't be tethered like that. We've gotten offers. We've gotten people who said, hey, I love to do X, Y, and Z with IPSI. I'll give you this much. Can you do this? And we've said, wow, that's a lot of money. That'd be great. Can't do that. That's not really our focus. That's not our vision. We don't believe in that, actually. We actually don't think that's true at all. I got into an argument one time, and I remember Olga was sitting just across from me. My parents, we were at our old house. We were all in our house together. And someone wanted me to, they were me personally, give me some stipends to do some videos for them, but they wanted me to say some specific stuff. And there's some stuff about Black Lives Matter they wanted me to say in favor of them. And I was like, no, I'm not saying that because that's not true. And then they started arguing with me about how could you not believe that? I went, because it's not true. Do you want me to speak and use my voice like I have been, or do you want me to say what you want me to say? Because you can hire someone else to do that. Yeah, you know what? That money would be great. We got bills to pay. We had just moved to Charlotte at that point. We just did the road trip. We were, money was tight. All that stuff was going on. But yeah, I'm not going to take your money and get on your camera and say things that I don't believe in. I just can't. I couldn't if I wanted to. But then you look at people like Tucker, and that's how they've actually made their whole careers on embracing ideologies that they may or may not even follow and really look like they're convincingly a part of it. I remember early on, about 4 years ago, Steven Crowder did a video about, even before Tucker went off the deep end with this Jew hating stuff. Steven Crowder made a video about Tucker Carlson's different shades over the years. He's like, there's a big difference between CNN Tucker Carlson pre-Trump Tucker Carlson and post-Trump Tucker Carlson. And and I was like, wow. And he was showing clips, and I was like, wow, that's how people can do that. I don't know, but we just don't. We don't at Ipsy, and we can't. We don't. If I wanted to just entertain people for money, I'm a musician. I'm a performer. I love singing covers. I go out. I'm gonna do in a couple weeks. I'm gonna play a private event where people are gonna dance and eat and drink and have fun. That's fine. When it comes to this work, I don't do that. I don't perform for people for this work. I don't perform. We don't perform and tap dance. We don't shuck. We don't jive, as my dad would say, for money. We just don't. And I don't understand how people can do that and do it so committing themselves to it so hard. But here we are. Anyway, so that was a big tangent. Qatar, right? Top fund is a global terrorism. They're closely aligned with Hamas. Top Qataris officials have said we are all Hamas. They supported October 7th. They're actively planning the next attack on Israel. They've said that as well. And they continue to flood our colleges and universities with propaganda. And we are okay with it. We are compromised, you guys. We are compromised. Our president's cabinet's compromised. Our country's compromised. And really, it just is a matter of time. Depending on the leader, the leaders that we have now from here on out, it really is just a matter of how fast or slow America falls. One leader may make it a little bit slower. One leader may make it faster, but we're on a downward trend. We are slipping downhill. I see Elizabeth. Yep. Now Nicki Minaj is on their altar. And absolutely. And it's, you always get in trouble when you try to pick a Messiah figure and worship them. No matter, I don't care who they are. I don't care if it's us at Ipsy, our CEO. You will always get in trouble when that person becomes your Jesus Christ, becomes your God, becomes your whatever you want to. When that person, when that ideology, when that political party becomes your, I'm going to blindly just trust them no matter what, you will always get in trouble. You will always get in trouble. I'm going to pause here for a second. So you all, everyone who's here now, if you're just tuning in, because we've gone up quite a bit since we started this to over 300 people. Thank you for coming in here. If you have not been supporting Ipsy, here's your chance now to go to ibsi.org/donate. Become a legacy builder. That's someone who just, think of an Amazon Prime subscription. For the price of that, you can support Ipsy. You can set up a $15 a month, $20 a month. If you can't, $50 a month, $100 a month, whatever you want. But those monthly donations, I cannot express to you enough, ladies and gentlemen, how crucial they are. They are the lifeblood of Ipsy. And especially now in 2026, you saw the video. We're going to Ethiopia. We're a part of the Youth Leadership Conference in Addis Ababa for 3 days in February. We'll be in Israel next year. For Hanukkah, we'll be doing our Returning the Favor Hanukkah concerts, but we'll also be doing very crucial Africa-Israel work and events while we're in Israel for December. And I'll be there for all of December, even after the Hanukkah concerts. And some of our staff will be there too, because we'll be doing some other important work as well, events and things that we'll be doing that will be running coming out of Israel. There's a lot of amazing and a lot of crucial work that's coming up in 2026. I'm back. I'll be back fully once the calendar year gets started. And it's a lot. And in order for us to do it unequivocally and without having to split our time doing other things to try to make up the money, we need your donations. We need the legacy builders. They're the ones that keep Ipsy going. The legacy builders are the ones that keep Ipsy flowing properly. We appreciate our big donors when we get them, but it's the legacy builders that keep Ipsy going and going and going. So if that's you, if you have not done it yet, I'm giving you the opportunity now to go to ibsi.org/donate and set it up right now. So I'm challenging you, all those who are watching now, to do that and set up your monthly amount. Again, it's a small sacrifice. It would be about the same as, you can make it as small as one of your subscriptions. You can make it about as small as whatever it is, $20 a month. But if all 344 people who are tuned into this live stream right now did it, it will make a huge difference for IPSI. So I'm asking you now, as we continue to do what we do. Okay. All right. Any comments or questions? We have a few minutes left here. I want to hear from you all. Elizabeth, I saw you. Oh yeah, you said you're dual citizenship. Yeah, it really is a double standard, and then the false dichotomy, the thing they put up is, oh, so now just having legitimate criticisms is anti-Semitic. No, because you don't have a problem with someone having citizenship in the UK and America. You don't have a problem with those who have dual citizenship in Canada and America. There's lots of people who have dual citizenship. Olga, my late wife, had dual citizenship. She was a citizen of South Africa, and she had just become a citizen of America last year. No one has a problem with that. Oh, but if we now, the boys and I have an opportunity to become citizens of Israel because Olga was given citizenship to Israel posthumously. So after she died, so she actually has three. She died with 3 citizenships. The boys and I have an opportunity to become citizens of Israel because of that. So that's wrong, right? So that's wrong. But if I got a citizenship in Canada, that's okay. So now you're saying that it's actually okay to have relationships with any other country except Israel. That's where the Jew hatred comes in, and they know that, you guys. It's just a game they play. Thank you guys for the condolences on the passing of my wife. It's been a tough year. Tomorrow actually is our anniversary. Tomorrow would be tomorrow is when we would celebrate 8 years. On our calendar, on the Hebrew calendar, she died on Tevet 6. I've shared this before. The 6th of Tevet is when she died. I was curious. Just hours after she died, I was in shock. I looked at my phone, saw that it was 6th of Tevet, and I was curious. I went back to see. That was January 6th last year. But I went back to see what day we got married on, and we got married on Tevet 6. So, wow. So we on God's calendar, we were married 7 years to the day. She died 7 years to the day that we were married on God's calendar on Tevet 6, which has all kinds of implications. I have a friend in Israel who's very Orthodox, and he was explaining to me even the significance of Tevet 6. I mean, it's a very legal kind of day, but still. And so tomorrow would be when we would celebrate 8 years. And then the 26th of December is Tevet 6 this year. That is the 1 year that I'm counting. That's on the Hebrew calendar. The 1 year on the Gregorian calendar is January 6th. I'll be in Israel for part of January. We're putting up the headstone, and I'll have some meetings and stuff while I'm there as well. I'd love to see some of you if you guys are in Israel. Hit me up. But yeah, it's been a very weird year. It's been a very bad year with good patches, I would say. It's a phrase that she would use. It's bad with good patches. There's some good stuff happened this year. A lot of amazing, beautiful things happened this year. But overall, it was a bad year, right? Because I lost right at the beginning of the year. I lost my wife, and Elizabeth, very likely Elizabeth, yeah. But with that, it's really been a stepping off point for us, and it's just the beginning. Both creatively, musically, there's some huge projects coming up on my end. IPSI's a part of some of that as well. Others it's just me by myself, like me on my own with my own business. And also in terms of the future is Africa, Israel. This is not just an empty slogan. I said this a couple of years ago when we did our Juneteenth live stream with our CEO and my late wife. I said, first, if 20 years from now, when Ezra and Judah are in their 20s now, late 20s, going into their early 30s, if let's say they want to be a part of IPSI in some way, if our mission statement is still strengthening the ties between Africa and Israel through education, we have failed. We should not be doing the same exact thing that we did when we started 20 years from now. If we're still doing the same exact thing we were doing 20 years ago, you guys, just take my word for it now. This Joshua Now 2025 on December 22nd, I'm telling you, we have sold out. Our mission should, IPSI shouldn't even really exist the way that it does 20 years from now. IPSI should not be doing the same thing. Maybe we won't even be called IPSI. Maybe we won't even be advocacy. Maybe it'll be something else completely in a different industry. But if we are still doing the same exact thing that we're doing right now, we're yanking your chain, guys. We're just pulling money out of you and trying to keep everyone's bills paid and send my kids to college. That's really what we're doing. I'm telling you that now. The future is Africa, Israel. The future is Africa, Israel. It's just happening. It's happening. There's all eyes are on Africa. There's a power grab for There's a battle going on for Africa. There's still a lot of problems that need to be sorted out internally and externally. Internally with the corruption, externally with the jihadism and all that and then other foreign countries trying to continue to rape and pillage Africa, like France. All that stuff is still the case, but power shifting, because one of the things that countries like France and the UK and the US, but especially the European countries when it comes to manipulating Africa, but us too, because we meddle in their elections and stuff all the time. We won't be able to do some of the things that we're doing because we're going to be too busy fighting the jihadism in our country. It's coming. It's coming. What's coming for the West is going to make 9/11 seem like patty cake. And that's not me trying to be funny. That's not me trying to be fire and brimstone. Again, it's just logically, when you let millions of undocumented people into your country from not just, I'm not talking about Mexicans from Mexico, although they're drug cartels and everything. I'm talking about from hostile countries who hate and want to destroy us. And you have millions of, especially young single men, into your country, unfettered, undocumented, what do you call it? You don't take them to trial, nothing like that. Eventually your country's going to implode. I mean, that's a 1 + 1 is 2. It's just a matter of time. They're simply just waiting for a signal to go. And there's not a lot of time left for us. Power shifting back to the east, and the future really is Africa, Israel. IPSI is our fingers on that pulse, and we're doing what we know we're supposed to do in that to continue to help facilitate it. So anyway, again, ibsi.org/donate. Become a legacy builder right now. Set up your monthly donation, be it 15, 20, 30, 50, 100, if you do 100 a month, but set up something right now and continue to support the work of IPSI, and the work that we will continue, especially in Olga's name, but first and foremost, in God's name, we continue to do what we are going to do to the best of our ability. Okay, guys, thank you so much. You guys have a good rest of your week. Hanukkah's over and we're sad about that, but Christmas is around the corner. For those who celebrate, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year's, and we'll see you guys in 2026. Take care. Good night.